Welcome to FusionFox tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be focusing on employee information management, and we will onboard a new employee. In order to do that, we'll go to the Employee Information Management application, and we will onboard an employee. This is the button. Click on the plus button to enter an employee in the system. This is a demo instance and not related to any specific organization. This is sample data that we have which is used only for tutorial purposes. So employee ID is entered here. You can enter employee ID. You can key in employee ID, like in this case, I'm typing an ID. In some cases, this ID may be system-generated from the setup. In the setup, you can define system-generated employee ID or leave it open for the end user to enter the employee ID. So maybe, in your instance, it will come automatically. In this case, in this business group or org, I am allowed to enter the employee ID. The first thing we will do is enter the name and the job title. Let's say Analyst. And then Department. Let's say Research and Development. And then the operating unit is the corporate office. We will select Employee Type as Incumbent. You can also select the category from the drop-down. Here, the category is Staff. If you have a cost center, you can select the cost center here. The grade, if it is applicable. You can select the specific grade as well. We then select his status Onboard. Offboard indicates that the person is leaving the company, and it will go to the offboarding system. The hire date is the date on which the employee was hired to the organization. I will enter hire date, Friday, 1st December. The seniority date is the date from which his seniority will be considered. So in this case, we will say Russell was working in this business group from the 1st of July, 2015. This is the date in which he has joined the business group. So it is from this date that his seniority will be counted, though he joined the organization under a new contract from 1st December 2017. Now we click Next to add more information about the employee, like mobile number, email, work location. We have not defined it here, so we will leave it as it is. Next, we will select the reporting manager here. It is Nina. Then we will define the backup person who will look after his work in his absence. Here it is Mike. And then we define the dotted line manager, if there is any. You set up to define all these drop-downs as per your requirement. There is a tutorial in which we have explained how you can create this drop-down masters. Next, we define the contract type. This is a fixed-type contract and the contract period, which is 2 years. You can put probation date and confirmation date if need be. Then we click on Next to go to the next tab. In the next tab of the wizard, we define the birth country, birthplace, and birth date. Then we can select gender, marital status, address, nationality, and native language, which we are selecting as French. You can fill up or update the rest of the information like personal email, personal phone, retirement age as per company rule, current address, as required, or on an as-needed basis. We then click on Next. The next information is about the HR coordinator. It is not mandatory. HR coordinator positions typically are required in large organizations, and you have many people in the HR department. Some are responsible to handle certain sets of employees. Let's say they manage the management category, and only they can see the information of these employees, and others cannot see this information. So you can have a system where not everyone can see all the employees, even in the HR department. There is a fixed structure and relationship based on which you can see employee-related information. The next field is employment verification. Whether it has been done or not, disabilities if any. Then comes employee classification. This is another way to categorize employees. SOS is the emergency contact name. We enter the name and phone. The relationship. In this case, it is spouse. The next field is FTE, which is the hours worked by one employee on a full-time basis. And then we enter the payroll code and the local register code. We can then upload an image of this employee by browsing from your local system. I don't have a picture of this employee at the moment, so I will upload a dummy image of this employee, and the image is saved successfully. I can save these inputs of this employee, and then this employee is on board. I can search this employee. His name was Russell. And you can see that this employee is now in the system. The next thing I can do is to add some more information about Russell. In order to add more information, I click on Edit. I will add his compensation information. We can add compensation by clicking on Add Compensation. Then we add basic pay to compensation. And then add the starting date of this compensation. In this case, it is the joining date. Then you can add one more component. He's also eligible for transportation allowance, which is €3,600 per year, so it's €300 per month. Effective from his joining date in this case. You can add multiple components. And finally, I will submit this information. Then we will add leave eligibility to this employee. So we'll add leave elements. Let's say this employee is eligible for annual leave, which is 15 days, because we have set the rules while defining the leave that is 15 days for annual leave by default. You can also define opening balance when the employee accrues leave. This employee is a newly hired employee, so there is no opening balance of leave for him. We then save it and submit it. So now we have defined leave, also to this employee. We will now save this record. After submitting the info, we see this graph of cost to the company, which is telling the basic pay is this much, 92% of his total salary. It also displays the ratio of the salary components like benefits and bonuses if any are given to the employee. That's all we have in this tutorial. We will discuss more things in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.